Part 2. You'll hear a city official talking to a group of people about a new development of shops and leisure facilities that have been built next to the sea. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 16.
Well, thank you all for coming along to this talk about our new waterfront development. The council has developed the old boat harbour to provide a new area of leisure facilities right here on the city's waterfront. And we want to encourage local people to visit the new development. OK, I'll start with some background. Long before the harbour was built, the first building on the site was put up by Sir Michael Grayson. He'd been working in Asia for a time, and when he came home, he began developing the city along this part of the coast. However, there was a problem with the site. Because the land was low-lying, whenever there was a storm, large waves would break on the shore, which could be destructive. So Grayson built a wall along the beach to protect the land behind it, and that solved the problem. Then, in 1915, the land here became more valuable. Some companies were not doing very well financially, so the government wanted to increase local business activity, and they did this by constructing a better road connecting this site to the city centre. That had an important impact, and later on, over the following years, it led to additional migration to this part of the country. One obvious change came in the 1920s when the first boat harbour was built here. The water was too shallow for large ocean liners carrying people, so these continued to use the main wharf further south. But the smaller boats that went out each day to catch snapper, tuna and other species to feed the city started to use this as their port. Defence Force ships, of course, already had their own base further up the coast. Then, in the 1930s, warehouses were built around the harbour and it was made deeper. That's because international trade was increasing. It's true that some parts of the economy, like sheep farming, were in decline, but forestry was a major growth sector. The timber was brought here by train, kept in the new buildings, then shipped to foreign countries. So, why did we need this latest redevelopment? Well, over the years the harbour had become run down. They talked about doing something for 10 years before anything actually happened. Finally, the project started when a team of designers began work and a consultation plan was drawn up. And now, 14 years after the project started, the new waterfront area is open to the public. We hope that nothing will need to be done now for another 25 years, when the harbour wall will need upgrading. I have to say, some parts of the redevelopment were quite difficult. We were lucky with the steamship because it had already been restored. What we really wanted was some traditional trams, so we bought some from another city. But it turned out to be a long process and they needed a lot of modification for our system, the hardest thing we had to do. We decided against renovating the old bridge and instead replaced it with a modern one, which was very simple in comparison.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20.
OK, so now I'll just tell you about a few of the features of the new development. So if you look at your maps, you'll see we're here, where it says South Gate, near the bottom of the map. So first, the playground. From South Gate, walk north until you come to the lifting bridge. Cross the bridge to the area we call North Wharf, and the playground is at the eastern end there, right beside the water. So, the open-air cinema. They show movies on a big outdoor screen. After dark, of course. It's a lot of fun. And it's up on North Wharf. Look in the northwest corner. It's a circular enclosure. You can't miss it. Now, we've also built a small aquarium that's full of local species of fish. It's close to Southgate. Find Pier 1, and it's right down at the end of that. Now, the Maritime Museum is well worth a visit. It's the only one of its sort in the country. From Southgate, you go... Well, actually, you can go two ways. Either go around the boat harbour or go over the lifting bridge. And it's the long, thin building that runs right along the north side of the boat harbour. OK, well, that's the end of my talk, but if you have any...
That is the end of Part 2. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to Part 2.